At the end of episode 1, we left Jana standing outside the Bonnington Hotel in Dublin as she watched her partner Jón Jónsson walk into the distance.
You must have thought about that moment a lot.
Yes. What would happen if I just have called his name? Would it change everything? This moment haunts me.
This is the final memory Jana has of Jón. When he reaches the main road, he turns right and walks onto the footpath of the busy Swords Road in the direction of Dublin Airport.
It's just after 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning and hundreds of cars are driving by. Jón doesn't have his phone, he doesn't have his wallet or his passport. What he does have is a packet of cigarettes, a lighter and maybe some cash.
From there, he might have hopped on a bus, he might have hopped into a taxi, and there's a particular appeal to taxi drivers.
Taxi drivers or other vehicles that have dashcam footage that may be travelling the road. It's a busy road.
From Roof in Iceland.
And RTE in Ireland.
I'm Anna Marsibil Klausen.
And I'm Liam O'Brien.
If you have any knowledge or information on Jón Jónsson,
please email documentaries@rte.ie
eða sendu post á hvarerjón@roof.is.
You're listening to Where is Jón?
Episode 2, Jón Bóndi.
It's Saturday, February 9th, 2019. After Jana smokes her cigarette outside the Bonnington, she goes back into the hotel and stops by the poker tournament room to look at the day's schedule of games.
And after that, I went to the room, and Jón wasn't there. I just figured out he went to play poker or went to eat or something. I tried to call him, but the phone was off.
Jana wasn't concerned at that stage. Maybe Jón had just gone out to get some fresh air. The tournament was due to start again soon, so she went back downstairs.
And I played the tournament. It started 1 or 2 o'clock, I think. And I remember when I was always looking around. Where is he? Isn't he here? And why I don't seen him? And I didn't put much thought to it, though.
Something is off. Jana can feel it. She keeps looking around to see if Jón is in the tournament room. Anna is looking back through Jana's notes and text messages to Jón. And throughout that Saturday afternoon, Jana sent to Jón several text messages.
I've registered for the tournament. Maybe tonight we'll give ourselves some quiet time, sober, or at least close to sober, and talk a little bit if you're up for it. She plays the tournament. And she's always looking around for him, but she never sees him. And she starts getting a little bit bothered by it, that, she doesn't see him at least outside when everybody's smoking during break time, and that he hasn't seen the text message that she sent him.
During the dinner break at 6 p.m, Jana goes upstairs to their room, but finds it completely untouched. Jón had not come back.
Okay, this is not normal. And he hasn't responded to any of my messages. Nothing. He's just gone off the grid. And then I went to the front desk and asked if, with a picture of him, have you seen this man? And a boy in the front desk just goes, no, he's probably in the tournament. There's poker right there. Yeah, but I told him, yeah, I know, I'm playing.
Jana last saw Jón about 7 hours ago, and she's beginning to feel really uneasy now.
She goes into the poker tournament room, but can't focus. Jón is all she can think about. Her mind is full of questions, no answers. She goes back upstairs again to their bedroom.
And then I went out the room and just stayed at the room, hoping he was coming back. I called Steini, his best friend, and just asked, have you heard from him? I called David, his brother, just checking if he had let them know about something that I didn't know about. And when I realized I was calling them, asking if they know about his whereabouts, then I first really registered that this is really, really something wrong, because why should they know about his whereabouts, but not me?
It's 9:26 p.m. Jana texts Jón again.
If you come to the room while I'm not there, then I'm walking around and trying to see if I can spot you. I'm beginning to worry a lot about you.
Beginning to worry is putting it mildly. Jana is actually growing more afraid by the minute. And inside, she's freaking out.
I was just, oh my God, what the fuck am I going to do now? So
she goes back to the hotel reception desk again, where she's told that there's little point in calling the police, since they probably won't do anything until at least 24 hours have passed. It's now approaching midnight.
And spiraling, and I just, my thought wasn't clear. I didn't know what to do. So I slept like a couple of hours this night, and was just panicking at the room all the night. And I decided in the morning that I would just go to the police.
Jana searches for the nearest police station on Google Maps on her phone. She writes a short note just in case Jón returns to the room. And then she leaves the hotel.
Starting route to Sandtree Garda Station. You will reach your destination in 20 minutes. Turn right.
It's Sunday, so a little quieter everywhere. On the walk to the Garda Station, she again texts Jón.
February 10th at 4 minutes past noon. Well, if you see this, you've probably already seen the note, but I'm on the way to the police station. I can't do this anymore, and I will always regret not having gone there if anything has happened to you.
Jana didn't know it then, but Jón could never have answered any of her messages because he'd switched his phone off and left it in the hotel bedroom.
It's now been 25 hours since Jana last saw Jón. She walks into Ballymon Garda Station and reports him missing. On the way back to the hotel, her phone rings. It's the police.
The Garda was like, the attitude was like, he is probably just playing poker. He was probably somewhere having fun or something like that. So I was trying to explain he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't just leave me alone in some country I don't know and go and have fun. The attitude I got always was, yeah, he will come back, he will come back. You don't worry.
It's been 6 years since Jón vanished. So what happened to him? There are only 4 possible explanations.
1. He had an accident, and his remains lie undiscovered somewhere. 2.
He could have taken his own life.
3. He could have decided to make a new life for himself. 4.
Or someone killed him and has hidden his body. In our attempts to find out what happened to Jón, we're going to work through these possibilities. And we begin in Jón's past, back home in Iceland.
Jón's poker name gives us a clue into who Jón Jónsson really was, before his name entered the news headlines.
Jón Bóndi means Jón the farmer. It's what all Jón's poker buddies knew him as. And he got that name because Jón comes from a farming family.
My name is Jón Ingimundur Jónsson, and I'm a father of Jón Þröstur.
Jón's family farm is almost 2 hours' drive north of Reykjavik. It's where generations of his family were born before him, including his father.
I'm born and raised up in a farm in Borgarfjörður, Haukagil, where my parents was farmers.
To get to Jón's family farm at Haukagil, you travel on the main ring road around Iceland, eventually turning off onto a gravel road for about 10 kilometers until you reach the farm.
I mean, right now we're looking at the glacier, Langjökull, and have these beautiful horses in front of us. And it's this idyllic countryside. Not a lot of people around. There's no people around. But you can see a couple. Look, there's a tractor, isn't it?
With a hay bale on the back.
Yeah.
And that river in front of us at the bottom of the valley it's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. Big, wide, lazy river. Jón's family farm sits on a slight hill at the edge of a beautiful fjord.
Wild, barren and beautiful, it's a million miles away from the busy Dublin city road that Jón disappeared from.
People who not know it to get lost there, but it is very green and it's not big mountains there or something like that. It's more like hills and so.
Up until now, Jón's story has been all about when he was last seen alive.
Jón's story begins on October 30th, 1977, just after midnight when he arrived into the world. Weighing around 3 kg, he was perfectly bald and looked just like his mother Jana had dreamt.
What kind of a baby was he?
He was very quiet, very calm. You never knew what he was. You didn't have to do anything, just you had to feed him. He loved food.
He was a very nice kid, He was a funny kid. He made a little bit like jokes when he was very small,
So he was a very quiet, calm, always, like he never changed. So that's how he was.
It wouldn't be long before Jón would be crawling around the family farmhouse and looking out the window at his dad working on the farm.
We can say it is a middle size of farms in Iceland. 680 hectares. We have 350 sheep, 12, 14 horses, 24 cows, something like that.
What was it like having Jón on the farm?
It was wonderful. He was, from the beginning, the prince of the family, because he was the oldest grandkids of my parents, and Hannah's parents also. He from the beginning having a special place in the family, and he was the grandson, and he got the name from my father, Jón, and Thruster from his other grandfather, so he fit very good in.
You could say Jón's identity was set from the moment he was born. The firstborn male in the newest generation of the Haukagil family farm.
And he was like the golden boy of the family. So when I was born, he was not very happy, I've been told.
This is Thorun, Jón's sister. She was born about a year and a half after Jón.
And he was like, not very happy to have to share the attention. And we had a dog that if you fed him, you couldn't go pet him while he was eating. He was a bit, he was just a dog that was working, with the sheep and everything. And my brother, knowing that, told me to go pet the dog because he knew that the dog would bite me. So he did that, he was like, it was like he was trying to get rid of me. Of course, he didn't know what he was doing. He was like, 5 and I was 4 or something like that, or 3. So, yeah. But then we became friends later on, like slowly.
For the young Jón Jónsson, his parents' relationship was in difficulty right from the start.
I think my drinking problem was starting to have taking big place in everything at that time, From 15 years old till 30 years old, I have an alcohol problem, and I was tried to working out of the farm for getting some money, but this money was not always ending in the family, It was more on the alcohol. So yes, we agree. It was about that we was divorced or moving away. So we moved away. It was 1981 we do that.
Even though Jón was taken away from the family farm at a young age, It was a place he was always drawn back to. And like his father before him, Jón would eventually return there with a new wife to start a new life.
But back in 1982, Jón was only 5 when his parents had their third child, Anna Hildur. Anna Hildur adored her big brother Jón, her protector.
But my memory of Jón is that he's the best and he's our rock. And what he says is the law, you know, because he's older, he was living life before us, and we were just like admiring him all times, you know. And I always got to be around him, you know, I always got to get along with him as his friends. I was the little annoying sister, but I always got to be there. And when I was sad, I just went and stayed in his room, you know, I slept on the floor. He was the best.
Anna Hildur, Jón and their other sister Þórunn, they were a tight little unit growing up, even though Jón did like to do his own thing.
Jón was very quiet. He never had a lot of friends. He always had like one friend or two. He was into like building models and like painting them. He was like into computers from a very early age, bought a computer. The day, like on the 1st of January, he would go out with a bag and like collect all of the fireworks that people had blown up. And it was very dangerous. He would like take the powder from that and like create new fireworks inside his room. I don't know why that was allowed, but...
Even though Jón's mother and father tried to make their marriage work, it eventually ended.
So we was fight the 10 years we was together and divorced after 10 years and 3 kids, you know. So.
Jón was 7 or 8 years old when his father stopped drinking.
Go for rehab when I was 29 years old and quit drinking and have not drinking from that. It was the best things I have did in my life to stop drinking.
After their parents' divorce, Jón and his sisters lived mostly with their mother, Jana, in Reykjavík.
But they did escape the city at every school holiday. Jón loved the Icelandic way of farming.
He stayed in the farm with my grandparents when he was there in the summertime, more or less. And going often in the wintertime, he go there with me, and I was always going there. And it was like my second home very much, you know.
Yeah, it was really nice. We would go there and spend the whole summer.
Jón's sister Þórunn also remembers their times at the family farm in Haukagil.
Working, like getting up at 7, you know, to milk the cows. And then, you know, when we were like in the season when they're cutting the grass, you know, to preserve for the winter, we would be working all day. So we learned a lot of skills, but we also had fun, like horseback riding and, you know, yeah.
As the 1980s moved into the 1990s, Jón's grandfather retired from farming, and Jón's uncle took over the running of the farm with his wife and young children.
Then in 1993, the family farmhouse burnt to the ground. Everyone was lucky to get out alive.
Jón would have been about 15 years old when it happened, and his younger cousin, Hrafnkell, he was just 6.
I mean, it was just such a huge, dramatic event in my family's history that it's just somehow engraved maybe in my memory. The years after, I'm 8, 9 years old there, I remember we were still finding close to the house, we were finding, you know, old records and stuff that had, I don't know, blew out of the house. I mean, there was still stuff from the old house surrounding the area. Even after the house was long gone and they had started building the new one, there were still traces of everything years after.
In the same year as the fire, Jón was 15 going on 16. His love of all things farming meant he'd now decided to try and become a vet.
He was very good in school. He didn't have any problem studying. Very clever. He made a real effort to have a good grades.
But unfortunately, Jón just narrowly missed out on getting the grades to get into a school which would have seen him on track to become a veterinarian. as his mother Jana remembers.
He showed me the letter. He was very, very angry, upset, disappointed. It was nothing else. He was like, this is it, you know. And he was like that. He quit.
This was the first big disappointment in Jón's life. Can his reaction offer us any clues as to what might have happened to him in Dublin many years later? Even at a young age, he wasn't afraid to make big decisions and stand by them. He wouldn't be disappointed any further.
He always wanted to be a veterinarian, but he never, he didn't even finish the secondary education. He dropped out and started working.
Jón continued to help out on the family farm when he could. The farmhouse had now been rebuilt by his uncle after the fire. And back in the city, he was beginning to fall in love, as his sisters remember.
Then he met his former wife when they were really young. I think he was probably 17 when they met, or 18 or something like that. And that's when we started to have more of a relationship, because I became friends with Nina.
He brought her home. I was getting confirmed. After that, he has the love of his life, and, and she's just like a mother to us, It was so beautiful.
He was so calm, and I was a little bit more butterfly.
This is Nina.
So we just clicked. He was my security.
What did he look like at the time?
Oh my God, I thought he was tall, and he had blonde, long hair. And the first thing I said was, whoa, beautiful hair. I thought it was great. It was in fashion then to have long hair if you were a guy. And he was always smiling. Yeah, I first noticed the hair though.
Jón and Nina moved in together pretty quickly. In 1995, they rented a tiny apartment in downtown Reykjavík and got 2 cats. Life was beautiful.
And we both worked, no school, got our own car, and we were always such a team. We were good friends.
The image of Jón since he went missing outside the Bonnington Hotel has been that of a poker player, maybe a bit of a drinker, tattooed-looking tough guy. But Jón could be a sensitive soul, a caretaker. And when he was in his early 20s, with his mother remarried, 2 new half-brothers came along.
So my name is David Karl Víum, and I'm Jón's brother. Yes, so Jón is the oldest, and then there is Þórunn and Anna. They share the same mother and father. Then they got divorced, and my mother met my father. And then they were together and had me and my brother, and then they got divorced. It's a typical Icelandic love story. So, yeah.
My name is Daniel Víum, and I am the youngest brother of Jón Þröstur Jónsson. Jón, he was just, he was like a father image, or more like, he was taking care of me, and it was a completely different attitude. It was not like a sibling relationship in that sense. It was more like it's like a family in that, if it makes sense, yeah.
I have a lot of also really fond memories. Me and my younger brother, we used to sleep over quite a lot. So memories of him making food, talking and on the computer and watching movies and so on.
Excuse me, Flo?
It was always like a cool thing to go to his house to watch a movie, you buy some snacks, we'd buy pizza. That's like my core memory of him, was like just, good things.
Jón was so kind to everyone. He was just, that was his personality. And with his brothers, they were just so close. Their parents had split up, and I think we were their safety. They just loved him. Simple as that.
So you have a big wedding?
No. Jón wasn't like that. He wouldn't like all the thing. So we were going to Portugal with my parents and my sister and her boyfriend, and we snuck off the same morning we were leaving. We snuck up to the sýslumaður,
Yeah, to the registers. Yeah, and just got married. We loved it.
Nina and Jón moved around quite a bit in their early 20s, from downtown Reykjavik to the small town of Keflavik, where Jón worked in one of the local fish factories, then back to Reykjavik, and then
we decided to move to his country farm, to his grandparents' country farm.
In a way, this was the opportunity Jón had waited his whole life for. But this was not going to end well for anyone. Jón was 24 years old, newly married, and he was now going to rent the family farm at Haukagil. His father, Jón Sr., helped out with the initial family arrangements.
He wanted to try it, and I talked to his grandfather. He will rent him the farm, and my brother will step on site. And everybody was ready to open the door for him.
This opportunity for Jón actually arose out of the most tragic of circumstances, in that Jón's uncle, who was running the farm, in 2001, his second wife died by suicide on the farm.
Having already gone through the fire not a decade earlier, that tragedy confirmed to Jón's uncle that it was time for him to stop farming and for someone new to take over.
He wanted to be on this farm. It was his favorite place in the whole world. He loved it.
Jón gave everything to his new life as a farmer. Over a short period of time, he began to build up a decent-sized flock of Icelandic sheep. He brought new life, new machinery, and a new approach.
Jón was forging a new future for Haukagil, and with his wife by his side, life was good.
He loved his grandfather and loved this place, and he wanted just to be there, just be a farmer, have kids, and be there forever.
But somehow, when he going up there with his wife, Nina, maybe the door was not so much open for them as we expected, or they expected.
Jón wanted to take over the farm, but there wasn't an agreement about it. There was his grandfather and his father and siblings. So, as I looked at it, it was they couldn't agree on things. And Jón was very hurt when this was his dream.
All these years later, it's not exactly clear what the disagreement was, and no one in the family can talk about it. Maybe because they don't fully understand. The real reasons lie with Jón, and his disappearance has made these memories even more painful.
What is clear, though, is that Jón did have some kind of disagreement with his father's family. Remember, he was renting the farm from them, so not yet the owner.
It appears there was a clash of the old and the new. Jón wasn't in full control of doing exactly what he wished on the farm. And how he reacted to that? Well, he went into fight or flight mode.
I don't know, I blocked it out a little bit, I think. And he just thought, okay, if we can agree, then we just should leave. And we did that.
After about 2 years of living the dream, Jón left, deserted the farm, almost overnight.
He sell the tractors and machines. He sent the sheep to the slaughter, and he did cut the grass from the field, but not take it together, but move away. And he don't talk to me or any of my people after that.
Despite being close to them throughout his entire life, Jón now chose to never again speak with his father, his grandfather, his uncle. In fact, he stopped talking to his father's side of the family altogether. And unbelievably, for the next 15 years, right up until he disappeared, Jón maintained his silence.
But he was like fair, but stubborn. You did not argue with him. If there was argument, he walked away. Always. He didn't like argument.
Jón's mother Jana could see how walking away from the farm and his father's side of the family really affected him.
No, I cannot talk about it. It was dark. And I think it affected him a lot, very badly, because, as I say, that was his dream. He was very loyal, and if someone treated him bad, he never forget it. He cut off. He just cut off the people off. Just, end of story.
Takes a strong character to do that.
Very strong. I mean, it was his way.
The person who lost out the most was Jón Sr. For 26 years, he had a close relationship with his son, but then Jón completely turned his back on him.
But I don't know what happened. He took a very strange decision about how he do these things.
How did you feel about it at the time?
Terrible. It was very strange to not hear him every day or every second day, He don't call me, he don't answer my phone and stuff like that. That I have to, respect him. He is growing up man, he take this decision. So what can I do? I cannot hang in on the door and say, hey, let me in. I just have to say, okay. We have to see how in what mood I will be when he coming back. But he never coming back, like no connection, no feelings, nothing, And he said to his sisters, he don't need to be in touch with me, so.
Time passed. Jón and Nina had 2 daughters. They built a house together. Then they divorced. And Jón's grandfather died.
The family farm at Haukagil, a farm that had been in Jón's family for 140 years, was sold.
After Jón left it, no one else in the family wanted it.
It was the end of an era, as Jón's younger cousin Hrafnkell remembers.
I think some part of all of us misses that place, yes. But I think also everybody were kind of relieved that we don't own it anymore. We don't talk about it like something that should have gone another way or...
Why is that? I mean? Where does that relief come from?
Well, there are just a lot of things that happened there. I mean, of course, there's a lot of good memories, but there's just so many bad or weird things that happened there. I mean, houses have burnt, people have died, and there are just so much misery, really.
Life just kept moving forward for everyone in the family. And then suddenly, on February 9th, 2019, Jón was gone out of everyone's life.
And I was going to sleep. And I got a phone call from Anna. And she told me he was in Dublin and he was disappeared. I don't know. From the first information about it, I was feeling like he ran away somewhere.
Jón Sr. didn't go to Dublin. He figured he might be in the way. He was not mentioned in any of the press coverage or news articles about Jón's disappearance, and he's never been contacted by any of the authorities.
But Jón Sr. has always strongly identified with his only son, Jón, and he can picture him wanting to start a new life.
He was gambling the night before, and he was also drinking. It is something wrong in his life. Too many things there. Because I know it, because I am an alcoholic and I be in few relationships, and I know how to living fucked up life. Even I have been trying all the time to making everything looks good. So, for myself, I have the feeling, why not run away and starting a new life? That is so nice to do that in the head, But is it nice to do it if you do it? I don't know. I have never tried. When you have one time being in a bad situation, like he was on the farm, and you have to take a bad decision, like he did there, and even that bad you stop talking to half of your family. What will you do next time you are in a bad situation.
You lost Jón twice. What's the difference been between the first and second time?
I think it was harder in the first time. It was not so much surprise in the second time. And I don't know, like I say, is it spinning in my head that he is still alive? Or what? Or I'm trying to make things more softer, you know. In the first time, I always know he was somewhere. I saw him sometimes. I knew he was somewhere. Or I'm just continue with that, you know, thinking that, spinning that in my head, he's still alive. That's why I waiting for the phone call.
Could Jón simply have walked away from his life without explanation? Left his friends behind, his family, his children?
Join us in our next episode as we continue to dig deeper into Jón's disappearance and discover some alarming details in this case.
There was never a moment that I thought like, he just took off.
It's shock, and then you just have to hit the ground running. We were doing the work that the police should have been doing, essentially.
Your sister told us that that the Garda couldn't crack his phone.
Yes, but we did. Yeah.
If you have any knowledge or information on Jón Jónsson,
please email documentaries@rte.ie
eða sendu post á hvarerjón@ruv.is.
You can submit an anonymous tip on our website rte.ie/whereisjón
eða ruv.is/hvarerjón.
Where is Jón is written and produced by me, Liam O'Brien.
And me, Anna Marceville Clausen.
The music is composed and performed by me, Úlfur Eldjárn, with special guest Unnur Jónsdóttir on cello.
And sound design is by me, Peadar Carney.
If you've been affected by any issues raised in this episode, please visit rte.ie/helplines.
Við bendum þeim sem kunna að eiga sárt að binda á hjálparsíma Rauða krossins 1717. Until next time, thanks for listening.